All right, thank you, MC. Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
All right, I'll begin. A very good morning, everyone. Very good morning. My name is Naufal from the Scouts Association of Malaysia, a member of the World Organization of Scout Movement. And well, I'm very happy to be here today. As you can see, I'm wearing a special attire. I'm wearing my Scout uniform, something that I wear almost every weekend nowadays. And today I'll be sharing with you all the topic on advocating gender equality through non-formal education. Now, I do have to clarify first that in my sharing, whenever I do say non-formal education, I'm mainly referring and basing on the Scout movement, Scouting itself, because Scouting, as of now, has become one of the world's largest non-formal educational organization, and you will see why throughout my presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, before I start, I would like you all to imagine, to picture in your head, what do you think of Scouts? What do you think Scouts? How do you associate Scouts? So I think most of us have this impression in mind that Scouts are a bunch of school kids who went for, doing things like marching in the middle of the scorching hot sun, or probably those who like to collect badges, or in most situations they would go for camping in the woods, or perhaps those who know how to tie some knots, or maybe those who cook traditionally using wood fire. Now, of course, most definitely what you imagine now is not entirely wrong. These are the things that we still do. This is part of us. This is our traditional way of doing things. However, over the few years of scouting being developed throughout the globe, we can see scouting has now evolved to become one of the mobilized movement towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, this is what we have throughout the years since 2018. Scout for SDGs has been introduced in order to mobilize 50 million scouts all over the world in order to achieve a better world. Now, if we look into the numbers, all around the globe, we have around 57 million active members. These are young people, young scouts all over the world trying to contribute towards achieving, and now we have achieved almost 2.5 billion service hours, involving 16 million service actions. Now, of course, most definitely, these are just numbers, and numbers that were keyed in by the scouts themselves. And it's very hard for us to understand in entirety what actually contributes towards gathering this number. And of course, this number also reflects to the whole service hours that has been contributed. It may involve one SDGs, it may involve all SDGs. But today, for my sharing, I will focus on what Scouts have done or what Scouts are doing in order to achieve SDG 5, gender equality. As we know, SDG 5 focus on achieving gender equality, and we want to empower all women and girls. And what does Scouts do in order to achieve this? Ladies and gentlemen, a little bit of backstory. In 2017, the World Organization of Scout Movement finally signed an official partnership with the UN Women in order to further promote the HeForShe movement. So maybe some of you are familiar to the HeForShe movement. Oftentimes when it pops up on our screen, one of the most notable figure when it comes to HeForShe is, of course, Emma Watson herself. So HeForShe is basically a movement that has been subject to more than 2 billion conversations and on social media, with offline activities reaching every corner of the globe. So what we want to do is that we want to stand together as equal partners in order to craft a shared vision of a gender equal world and implement specific locally relevant solutions for the goods of the humanity. So the UN Women and WASM partnership has bring good things to the Scout movement. Basically, we have since introduced a very beneficial action kit. Now, this was constructed upon the partnership, and this gathers a set of introductory activities about gender equality based on the HeForShe movement itself. So these activities can be carried out by all Scouts everywhere in order to allow them to understand what gender equality is all about, what is women empowering, what is what are the programs that can actually help Scouts better understand the need and the rights of girls and women in Scouting. And of course, the activities can be adapted and explored and based on the level of maturity. And we have been promoting the usage of this action kit ever since. One of the sample that we have on your left is one of the challenge that we have throughout the years, that we want Scouts to promote this action kit that was meant for them. As you can see, these are the samples of the activities within the action kit. There are activities that were suited for the Scouts to be part in. So whenever they conduct an activity, regardless where they are, whether they are camping, whether they're in a conference, they can do this activity, and there are a little bit of lessons learned, debriefing along the way, and not just activities, there are also real people, real stories. So basically, these are the success stories that they can emulate, that they can get inspired with. And we take real example, of course, from maybe Scout members or even non-Scout members all around the world, those who have contributed towards achieving gender equality. Now, this action kit has been an integral part of what we are trying to do in order to promote the advocacy of gender equality. Of course, apart from having an action kit, the World Organization also introduced a set of policies, a set of rules and regulations. Early this year, we introduced the Scout Unstoppable Journey towards achieving gender equality. Now, these are project insights, guidelines, and recommendations that we distribute to all national Scout organizations in order to promote gender equality within their nation. Now, this seems to be very, very new, but yet we are hoping that this policy can lead our way forward. So, but of course, the question is, what have we done locally? What can we do locally when it comes to the Scouts Association of Malaysia and, of course, the local community itself? So the first thing that we do upon actually having the HeForShe as a reference, we localize the action toolkit that you see before. So that now the toolkit is available in Bahasa. So although this is a very, very tiny step forward, but I do think it's important because we want to reach more audience. We want the toolkit to be accessible to all local Scouts. And of course, Bahasa is also accessible and understandable by Scouts throughout our neighbors, Singapore, Brunei, Indonesia. And I do think it is good to have it in Bahasa, apart from having it in Arabic, French, Spanish, and English. So the second step is, of course, for us to actively promote the campaign. So again, it is about reaching more audience. Perhaps in the future, we want to collaborate with other NGOs, with other bodies that also in the same way of sharing the same value as us, which is to promote gender equality. Picture here, I was in Manila back in 2018. We have a small booth set up in order to promote HeForShe in the region. Now, of course, the most important part of my sharing is for me to introduce what we have done in the Scouts Association of Malaysia. And this before you, ladies and gentlemen, is our ongoing project called the National HeForShe Initiative. The National HeForShe Initiative is a set of awareness badges that was meant to promote HeForShe, basically, in a nutshell. So the National HeForShe Initiative are a set of badges. That's what you need to understand, because badges is somehow our core, one of the core principles of why Scouts has been involved in beneficial program throughout the years. Scouts and badges are somehow correlated. We want to do things in order to obtain badges. It's not really the badges itself, but it's also what comes with the badges, the recognition, the achievement, or probably the certificate as well. So we introduce these awareness badges. And every one of these awareness badges comes with its requirement. So in order for the Scouts to get these badges, they have to fulfill it. Of course, it's not just the badges, like I said, they will also be given a neckerchief, a pin, a certificate as well. But again, so what is what is the requirement of these badges, you may ask? So I would like to share one of the example that we have. Of course, it is in Bahasa, it is in Malay. So we'll not go through in detail, But the process is very easy. For those who actually are interested, I will explain how we actually construct this initiative, how we actually construct this module. It is basically a 3-step process. The first process is for them to learn, them as in Scouts. So we have trained facilitators, trained speakers all around Malaysia, and they are responsible in trying to educate young Scouts. And our main target is, of course, Scouts in between 9 to 17 years old, mainly. Our second set of target is, of course, those at the age of 18 to 26, and then, of course, followed by adult Scouts. So they have to go through a learning process, some kind of awareness workshop for a minimum of 2 hours. The reason why we set a minimum of 2 hours, because there are certain requirements that they have to know. There are certain learning process that they have to go through. So they have certain topics that they have to be exposed with. Now, learning is very important, but it's just the first step. Now, once they have learned, once they have been exposed to whatever topic that they were told about, then they have to go through the do process. Doing is, basically we need to practice what we preach. So they need to conduct a suitable activity according to the age category. Of course, younger Scouts have it's a less complicated activity to do. So it is according to the age category, basically. So once they do, and upon learning, and then they are ready to be evaluated. Now, of course, we have a state representative, district representative to actually evaluate their performance and progress. And if everything is okay, they will be awarded the badges as simply. So I do think it is a simple process, but of course, part of the learning and part of the doing is very important for us to evaluate, because we just want them to be involved in a activity that can actually trigger their understanding of what we're trying to do in HeForShe. The next step forward is for us, the Scouts Association of Malaysia, is to take the best practices of other national Scout organizations. Now, like I said earlier, we are a 57 million member strong, involving almost 192 countries out there. And every countries almost have this sort of a healthy competition among them in order to create a movement that is more inclusive, more diverse. And Scout Association of Malaysia is also one of them. We're trying to make this movement as diverse as possible, especially in this country, which we do have so many races, and of course, from where we're talking about girls, we're talking about boys. And this is in a way to make a statement that Scouting is for the girls as much as it is for the boys. So as you can see on your left, this is one of the policy, one of the documents that were created by the Swedish Scouts, called Him and Her. It's basically a handbook on Scouting, on an equal opportunity for both boys and girls. If you read through this document, which is available online, it goes to show what Scouts should be, how activities should be conducted in order to give equal opportunity to both girls and boys. So I do think this is something that Malaysia can emulate in the future. Now I'm going to proceed with impact. So what are the impacts that we have achieved so far? Basically, throughout the years, ever since the implementation of HeForShe, it goes on to actually promote, like I said, promote gender equality, the understanding of what is women empowerment in a nutshell. So, of course, we now have a lot of programs that is based for women and girls in Scouting. We can see throughout the years, back in 2014, we have Jambori Helwani, which is basically Hal Ehwal Wanita. We also have another set of Jambori for the girls back in 2017 in Sabah. And these are just one of the many programs that was made available for the girls, for the women in Scouting. Next, of course, our hope and desire is to have women leading the front, in terms of leadership, in terms of having a national responsibility, or, having all this, being part of the decision-making body. So we want women to be involved as much as the men. And of course, this can be seen as a proof. Back few months ago, we have our World Scout Youth Forum that was done virtually, involving almost 1,000 representatives from all the National Scout organizations. Out of the 6 positions that was contested for the World Youth Advisors, 4 of them are my friends, which are Girl Scouts. And this is a good reflection of what Scouting is all about. It is inclusive. It gives opportunity for them to participate in this big decision-making body. And I do think this is a step forward. Of course, it's not merely giving them quota. It's not merely giving them opportunity just because they are girls, just because they are women. But then again, it's about giving equal opportunity as much as we, the boys, have it. And now I'm focusing on the message. What is my message today for all of you? The message is very clear. We are trying to tell you to understand that the Scout movement throughout the world, even in Scouts Association of Malaysia, is putting a lot of emphasis on diversity and inclusion. We want people to know that Scouting has been the movement who prioritize on having equal opportunities for its members. So if any of you were interested to know about the action kit or know about our policy on diversity and inclusion, probably because you guys are all stakeholders who hold on very good, very high positions in your own bodies or entities, and you can look for our HeForShe action kit. It is available online. Basically, it's just a fingertip away. So, of course, the next step, the next thing is because we want to uplift the future. Every person has the potential to go far, to do something beyond ordinary. However, it is not possible if they were not given the platform, if they were not given the opportunity to showcase that. And we can see on your right, we have Gita Jali Rao, a Girl Scouts from the United States of America, who won the first ever Kid of the Year award by Time. So this probably is not possible if she wasn't given the opportunity and platform to actually be nominated at all. And this was the case a few years ago, but we have come a long way ever since for her to be nominated and for her to win this award. So again, it is a big step forward for our future generation, for our children in the future as well. And of course, Scouting has been an advocate for gender equality for the longest of time. We want to tell people that we are trying our best to contribute towards the Sustainable Development Goals. Because as you can see on your right, when she shines, we all shine. So we want to lift up the women in our lives, not just in the organizations, but even those concerning non-Scouts. And of course, and I guess I have come to the end of my presentation. So the Scout movement is inclusive to all. And of course, the common misunderstanding is that Scouts are meant for children and kids in school, but it's not entirely true. We are committing towards creating a society, a community of people fighting for gender equality. So I thank all of you for your time and for your ears. If you do have inquiries, you can email to me to heforshe@scouts.my. Thank you so much, and I'll pass back to the MC.